Hi, Cook Cardinals. Hello again from Mrs. Sylvester. Here's a quick video reviewing what you have learned and been practicing with our comparative and superlative adjectives. So those are base words that have an ER and EST suffix ending. So as you know, we add the ER to compare two nouns. You could also think of it as which one is more of something. So we add the ER to an adjective. And the superlative means the most. So when we're comparing three or more nouns, so out of a group, and it means the most. So let's look at some examples that have these three different spelling rules. One, of course, could just be adding ER or EST with no change, but then the three changes would be doubling the final consonant, and that's if, do you remember? If the vowel in that word is a short vowel and it ends with only one consonant. So before you add the ER or EST ending, you need to double it. And that, as you hopefully know, is the same as when we add the ED and ING ending. The second spelling rule is if the adjective ends with a Y and there's a vowel before the Y, a consonant before the Y, you need to change the Y or drop it and change it to an I before you add ER and EST. And this is also similar to when we add ED. You change the Y to an I before adding ED. And then finally, you need to drop or get rid of the final E. The magic E is not included. Otherwise, it would look like you have two E's. But you drop that magic E and then add the ER and EST from your base word. So let's look at some examples and think about if you can think of those correct rules. Let me see if I can have this as we are going through it. Are you ready? Okay, so here is an example of doubling that final consonant. So if the base word adjective is big, then if you want to say that something is more big, we don't say more big, we say bigger. And out of a group of three or more things, the most big is the biggest. So see how we have a short I and only one consonant in our base word big. So that's why we follow the rule of doubling the consonant before adding the endings ER and EST. Here's an example of dropping the Y. So in the base word happy, it ends with a Y and it does have a consonant before. So we change that Y or drop it and change it to an I before we add ER and EST. And then finally, when you have a base word that has a long vowel with a magic E, like in this one, brave, we drop that E and then have our ending. All right, so now let's look at some examples and you can shout out the answer as we go through them. Are you ready? So if we're comparing two things with the adjective big, what do we do? What's the rule? Double the final consonant. So big becomes bigger. How about this one? If you're going to make it the superlative, so the most, what would be the most large? That's adding EST, so largest. What do you notice about the word large? Oh, and I suppose I made a mistake. In this word large, that E at the end is not really, well, it's not a magic E for the vowel. It does work with the G to make the G make the J sound. But I was mistaken when I said that the magic E making the vowel long, because sometimes the magic E can do other jobs. But either way, what do we do with that magic E before we add the EST ending? What's the rule or the pattern we follow? We drop that final E to the EST, or before we add EST. Okay, how about this one? Dirty. If you're saying that something is more dirty, that word is dirtier. So since our base word ends with a Y, what's our rule? What do we need to do? Drop the Y and change it to an I, dirtier. How about another one? Thin. If we want to say that something's the most thin, we don't say most thin, we use our EST ending, so thinnest. Now you see we have a vowel, a short vowel, and just one consonant, so let's Do the rule of doubling that final consonant to thinnest. How about this one? Wet. You see the short vowel and only one consonant, so we need to double that final consonant to wettest. And how about just comparing something? So that's using our ER ending. So I can be happy, but I'm happier when I'm with you. So it has a Y, so drop the Y or change the Y to an I before we add ER. And here's our base word safe, and that magic E is working to make the A say its name. But when I see a base word with a final E, what's the rule? We drop it and then add our ending ER, safer. And last one, funny. And if we want to say out of 3 or more things, something that's the most funny, we use the word funniest. And that has our EST ending. So what do we need to do to the Y? Drop the Y, change it to an I before we add EST. All right, second graders, great job. And you have one practice page on your slides today. And that is slide number 37, I think. Oh, excuse me, 57. And you're reading a little story and then taking these highlighting boxes and looking for words that have the ER and EST. So as I read this story to myself, I say, oh, there's a word that has ER at the end that is an ending, a suffix added on. Some words can can end with ER, but they might be a part of the word. So make sure you're looking closely to see which word actually has ER or EST as the ending. For example, I see this word her ends with ER, but that's not an ending or a suffix. It's just part of the word her. So make sure you see a base word and then the ER or EST ending. And then you can practice your typing by typing the words here in this text box. So good work. Your teachers are very proud of you, and we look forward to seeing your great practice on this phonics skill. Have a great day.